Hello, and welcome back to another Dokkan battle video. So, in light of Twitter and mainly Dokkan Twitter, being entirely revolved around basically the end of the anniversary tier list, I decided to put my own kind of spin on that. And instead of doing like power ranking tier lists, because I feel like at this point in the game we are at the closest point for all of the top 10 units in the game to be relatively similar in power. So I feel like that's kind of boring if I just drop a regular everyday tier list. So what I'm deciding to do now is just do basically a complete overview of, I think I'm actually missing a unit here. Let me actually grab them. I forgot to grab this guy. I wanted to do a tier list of how I feel like these units would fare while babysitting. Now, don't ask why, don't ask questions here, but this is going to be should you leave your kids with these units tier list, right? Now, I'm going to take into account their lore, their hits, everything. And I think for starters, I think the easiest ones that we should do here is actually going to be easiest tier of my life. The F tier is just going to be both of the Friezas. If you know anything about Frieza is someone not to be trusted with your children. I mean, just look at this man, right? The literal super attack is him obliterating Paragus, right? He should not be trusted with your children. He will immediately either manipulate them, call them a slur, or kill them on sight. So please just do not leave your children with Frieza. They will not survive the night. If you're out on the town trying to get busy with your wife, your husband, whatever, Frieza will end up killing your child. Now, this is the next tier is actually where I'm going to put Buhan here. And now some of you might be like, oh, why is Buhan not an F tier when Buhan is also a genocidal maniac? He was killing everybody. And that is purely because this Buhan has both Gohan and Goten and Trunks in him, right? Because they're in his body and they're not dead, he might just absorb your kids, right? Sure, they're not going to be that great, and it'll take Goku and Vegeta to go in there and fix that, but at least they're not dead, and, maybe your children can reason with him. I mean, Gotenks was able to stall Super Buu, right? So you might be able to work some shenanigans. I mean, obviously he's more than likely going to end up killing your children, but at least you have like the small chance of them potentially just being either absorbed, or maybe he'll end up liking the kids. Because remember, again, they did stall out Super Buu on top of the Corn Lookout, right? They stalled him before they went to the time chamber for them to come out and transform and everything. So I think there is potential that Buhan won't immediately kill your children, right? It's up there. Do I know how likely that is? No, but it's potential. He could potentially not murder your children. That's what matters. So next up, let's see here. Who is next? Now, I was going to write a script for this, but then I started writing it, and then it just looked like Frieza bad kills your kids, right? And I feel like doing this unscripted is probably a bit more reasonable. Let's go with in the C tier. Who is in the C tier? Do not let these people... you know what? Yeah. Let's get Broly and controversial take, Beast Gohan. Now, both of the Dokkan Fest. Obviously, Broly, in the context of this Broly, he is currently destroying everything. And I feel like that is an issue when it comes to babysitting, right? Obviously, you don't want a guy who's doing AoE super attacks to be able to be near your children, because he's just going to accidentally murder them, right? It won't be like his fault necessarily, but like he's more than likely going to end up, lasering them and sending them to another dimension. And you also got to think about the fact that he has a domain, right? You don't want your child sent to the alternate dimension domain. You don't want that to happen while you're off at dinner, right? So Broly might end up, accidentally killing your kids. But remember that Broly does have a kind heart. So maybe if he just wasn't raging out, your kids would be completely fine and they'd be able to have a good time with Broly. But as it stands with Super Saiyan Broly and especially full power Broly, who's doing, again, the AoE super attacks, that's gonna hit your kid. Your kid's gonna get melted or sent to an alternate universe, and we just don't want that happening. Now, it is going to take 5 turns before they get sent to an alternate universe, bare minimum. So maybe 5 turns could translate into about like 5 hours, and you're just gonna have to deal with Super Saiyan Broly in your house. And now I don't know if you're gonna have a house, but at the very least, you might potentially still have a child. potentially. Now, controversial opinion again, the Beast Gohan, right? Some of you might be like, why is Beast Gohan here? Beast Gohan is a father. Beast Gohan was doing the entire plot of the movie is him being a dad. But that's where I think we can actually get into a good point here. I was going to actually put this guy higher because of this target mechanic. Like, say, for instance, your child was in danger, he can taunt, and then, your child will be fine and protected. But if you remember, the plot of the movie Superhero was solely because Gohan was not only neglecting his training, but also his child. Now, if he can't even be trusted to parent his own child and has to have Piccolo go and pick them up from daycare, what's to say that he's going to take care of your child? Again, I do think him having target mechanic does put him probably above Broly on the babysitting tier list. So we can probably put him above Broly there. But for the most part, are we really going to trust him? Like, really? He wasn't even taking care of Pan, right? Sure, he might love Pan, he might treat your child with respect, but he is also being neglectful in the context of the movie. So I cannot reasonably put him higher than this. Now, the next tier, I do have the Gammas, Bardock and Guinea, and I think the probably just the physical Gogeta. I think this is where we can put them. Now, let's first talk about Bardock and Guinea, right? And you might be like, okay, well, they're parents, they're going to take reasonable care of a child, but you also got to remember they're dead. They're dead. Now, did they get Goku to safety in literally the card art? Yes, they did. And would Guinea probably cook up a fire meal for your child? Yes. But you also got to remember they are literally about to die in the super attack, right? So, contextually, if you leave your child with Bardock and Guinea, sooner or later, especially if it's from the scene that this art is from, your child's getting exploded, and I don't really personally want my child to get exploded in a giant death ball from the Frieza that is literally coming out in a few days, right? I personally don't want that for my child, so I'm just going to avoid that entirely. They are still great parents for the most part. I mean, Bardock, when he, feels like being a dad, because Saiyans don't typically like being parents. When he is a parent, I mean, he did care for Goku. Not really so much Raditz, but at the very least he did care enough about Goku to send him off to, Earth and make him okay, and save him from imminent doom. And, Guinea, she can heal you. She can get away any negative status effects your child might have for some reason. Cook up a mean meal, but they're going to die. So I don't know how well that's going to go for your kid. Now, when it comes to the Gammas are fun-loving superheroes, right? So your kids are going to have a good time playing with them, and they're not an immediate threat to the Red Ribbon Army, I assume, unless your kid is literally Goku, right? Surely they're not going to obliterate your child, and I feel like they're going to just end up having a good time with them. My only problem is they are prone to explosions and killing themselves. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but, they're prone to doing a little bit of a bakum, as they're showing in the background there, right? So in this scenario, your child is in danger. I don't know if the Gammas are going to be able, specifically Gamma 2, if he's going to be able to stop himself from just kind of exploding. And I feel like that would definitely put your child in harm's way. However, they are, again, they're superheroes. Their whole gimmick is to be, fancy and all this and be good guys. So they're going to be able to take care of your child for the most part. But they did also have a hand in kidnapping Pan. So you take it or leave it. They have they're good intentioned, but they might explode. They, might just get a little bit reckless. And I think Gamma 1 is going to be really hard carrying this, with Gamma 2 being as eccentric as he is. Now, who else did I have? Oh yeah, the physical Gogeta. I have him there purely because he is Gogeta, and Gogeta is like Mr. Good Guy, right? He is the fusion of Goku and Vegeta, who are both parents, right? So you would assume that he would be a better parent than the both of them, but like they also have negative qualities of parenting. So I would just assume that it just gets amplified further. So yeah, you got Gogeta, and I think he'll just be fine. He'll just probably hang out with your kid for a while. I hope he doesn't 99% chance crit your kid, right? But he should be okay with them. Nothing too much to say about Gogeta here. Now we go on to the A tier. Now this is where I have characters like these guys, and then all of these guys, right? These are my picks for the A tier. Now, this is not in any particular order, but let's first talk about Sleepy Eepy Beerus, because I feel like he is important here. So, with Sleepy Eepy Weepy Beerus, right? Again, he's asleep for the majority of the fight, right? And you can choose when he wakes up. So, and then if you remember, again, back to the plot of Dragon Ball Super Broly, It starts with Vegeta leaving their child. I believe it was Vegeta. I think he was with Bra, right? Like the entirety of the movie, Beerus is just sleeping and watching over Vegeta's kid. Like that's literally what he does. And this Beerus is asleep the entire time. And if an instance comes where your child is going to be in danger, he can pop his taunt mechanic, enrage on whoever's trying to assault your child. And since he's the literal god of destruction, your child's going to be completely fine. Again, my only issue would be if he accidentally like sneezed in his sleep and blew up an entire planet. Like potentially your child would be caught in that and it would be pretty bad for them. But as long as he stays asleep, and then if anything pops his taunt mechanic on whoever tries to attack your child, Sleepy Eepy Beerus is probably going to be a pretty good babysitter. The only reason he's not higher is because of the chances of accidentally blowing up your entire house and planet and your child, right? That's the only reason. Only reason. And then we move on to AGL Gogeta, right? And now, again, I mentioned this when we were briefly talking about Beast Gohan. Gogeta has the taunt mechanic. The only issue with his taunt mechanic is since it dodges, there might be an instance where, for instance, if your child is getting attacked and he uses this taunt, obviously the attackers are going to be focused on Gogeta, and Gogeta's immediately going to obliterate them. But if he accidentally dodges, say, like a bullet, and it hits your child, that'd be kind of unfortunate. So that's the only reason he's not going to be in the S tier, is because the potential of him dodging a bullet and your child getting laid out, right? We don't want that to happen. We do not want your child to get the JFK treatment, right? We want Gogeta to actually prevent that from happening. And note, he is more than fast enough and more than strong enough to obliterate anything in his path. So, in the fact that Gogeta is genuinely a kind guy, for the most part, unless he's beating up mentally ill, grown adults, right? Your child will be fine with Gogeta. Again, remember, he's the fusion of two parents, Goku and Vegeta, who are both in this tier in two separate forms, right? So it's going to be completely fine, right? Gogeta's going to take care of him just fine. You won't have to worry about anything with your child, except for potentially if he dodges and your child gets shot in the face, which would suck. Then we have pretty much all of the Tournament of Power Goku and Vegetas. I'm pretty sure it just goes the same way without saying. It's Goku and Vegeta. We already know that they're parents. Like, your child will be fine unless a situation comes where they need to kill themselves. Your child is going to be fine. Now, Blue Evolution Vegeta, right? His whole active skill is him blowing himself up. But like in the same vein, his revive is him talking about how much he needs to care for his family. So I feel like those two things kind of cancel each other out, and we just got to think about how Goku and Vegeta are as parents, and both of them are legitimately good parents. I don't care what anyone says, Goku is not a bad dad. He will literally die for his kids over and over and over again. He has come back from the afterlife multiple times over just to hang out with them. He knows that him being there puts people like at risk, but if it's just like a casual day and you're going out to dinner, Goku might just want to come with you, which might be an issue, but for the most part he's going to make sure your kid's perfectly fine. And hell, he might even call Chi-Chi. Again, when you bring Goku and Vegeta, then again, this is from the Tournament of Power, so maybe they're going to be fighting off Jiren while you're just trying to, go out to dinner with your child, right? So there might be some risk there, but there's potential of them just kind of chilling at home with your child. Again, I think the only problem is with AGL MUI is since he does have that first turn of guard, potentially even the first hour, if your child were to get attacked by an armed gunman within that first hour, your child might not make it out of there. But I feel like Goku would be more than swift enough to take care of that. And then with our blue duo, it's both of them at the same time. That's just bonus points. They're just a little bit less angry and full force, All right. So finally, we got these two, which I think are by far the best people to leave your child with. Let's go ahead and start with Krillin and 18. We already know their parents. Now, are they currently taking care of their child during this card? No, but this is a set of well-adjusted parents. They have jobs. 18, for the most part, is a stay-at-home mom, right? She doesn't really go out that much, and when she does, she's absolutely annihilating fools. So your child is going to be completely fine. Sure, they have dodge, so again, you can make the argument, hey, what if they dodge a bullet and my child gets the JFK treatment? And I say to that, do you really think Krillin's going to let that happen? I don't think so. Krillin is the man to take one for the team, right? He's gonna get the job done. OG Krillin in the police hat. No one's stepping up to him like that. He's drawing out anything. He's doing the, He's doing the Destructo Disc. He'll Solar Flare whatever he needs to. Krillin and 18 will be like by far probably the best people to leave your child with. Besides, where are they? Broly, Cheelai, and Lemo. And the reason I say this is because you got Lemo cooking it up, right? Cheelai is just a nice person overall. She can tell jokes. She can tell stories. You got Broly, and when he's not raged out, so Broly is just going to be like just some awkward hulking guy, right? That your child can just play around with, and Broly will not accidentally murder them. I highly doubt your child is going to rage out Broly, and even if he does, Cheelai's there to calm him down. Lemo's there, right, to protect your kid. You know, oh, Goat Lemo, he's the reason why this card has big bad bosses. You know no one's stepping up to them, and even if they do, we've seen the fact that both Lemo and Cheelai are packing heat. Well, Broly can just backhand anything into existence. Giant spiders, Broly got that. Regular people, again, Cheelai and Lemo got the blicky. Like, they'll be completely fine to take care of your child. You're going to be completely fine. You can go out for as long as you want, as long as they don't use the Dragon Balls to teleport your child to the planet Vampa. You should be completely fine to leave your child with them. You'll be good. Cheelai will make sure your child is, you know, cleaned up. Lemo will make sure your child is well fed, and Broly will make sure no one's gonna kill your child. Right? Sure, they can dodge, but just as long as they don't get the orbs while they're playing with your kid, they'll be fine. Everything will be just fine if you leave them with either Broly, Cheelai, Lemo, or Krillin and 18. I feel like they are by far the best parents of the 9th anniversary, especially when it comes to babysitting someone else's kid, right? They'll be completely fine. So anyway, this is my tier list for the 9th anniversary of how much I would trust them to babysit my child. This is not up for debate. Don't debate in my comments. If you have any suggestions, you can make them. I just won't listen, and I will not care. This is how it's going to be. Again, any suggestions you can put in the comments below, but I reserve my right to not change my opinion. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next one.